Well, welcome everybody, and happy Valentine's Day. I'm Jan Jeremias, for those of you who don't know me. I'm one of your hosts today. I'm an integrative health and wellness coach and author who works with people and pets to help them overcome health challenges and live healthier lives. And today I'm very excited to be joined once again on stage with my co-host, collaborator, and friend, the amazing and very kind Mary Jane McQueen. And so, Mary Jane, if you could please introduce yourself.
Yeah, and as always, I am always honored to be here with all of you because it's such a wonderful space of conversation and energy. Yeah, for those that don't know me or don't know me that well, I am Mary Jane, and I have my own creative studio, where I help entrepreneurs step into their light and share their gifts authentically. So I do that by helping them and guiding them in overcoming self-doubt and finding their voice, so that I can create visuals with them that are authentic to their mission and vision. And as always, I am pleased to join Jan in this wonderful collaboration call, because she always shines brightly. And I know those are her words for 2025. And it's just wonderful to be here. So thank you all for joining us.
Mary Jane, did you want to share our beautiful poem?
I definitely can, just to set the intention for today. It is a poem that I found. It's by Elaine Montilla, and it's called A Journey of Grace and Growth. And in it, she says, in this fleeting moment, I stand tall. I'm better than this, I whisper, a comforting call. Moments pass like waves on the shore, each challenge a lesson, an open door. Fear not the start, the beginner's path. Own each step. Find strength in the aftermath. In the mirror of life, be both student and guide. And in the journey of learning, take each stride with pride. To others, I offer grace, a gentle hand, and to myself, the same in this life's vast land. Patience, a virtue in every heart's mansion, loving myself through each phase, each expansion. I honor my being in time's vast brace. In each space I've filled at my very own pace. For in the dance of life, both graceful and wild, I've played every part, the adult, the child. Bravery and growth, a badge I wear with pride, stumbling, pausing, yet never to hide. I give myself the grace to learn and to fall, for in each misstep I hear growth's gallant call. Old contracts, old pains I release to the wind, only space for love and growth within. I permit myself to evolve, to be free in my life's symphony, the ever-changing me. I just loved the words that she spoke, and because I love the word evolve. I just feel that that is grace in action. And so, and in my life symphony, the ever-changing me, because that's really where we're all at. Nothing stays the same. We're always changing. And what a beautiful adventure it is.
Absolutely, Mary Jane, and always evolving. So, welcome everyone to today's gathering, A Heart of Grace, Cultivating Kindness Within. We're so glad that you are all here, taking the time for yourself and your well-being. So, today we'll explore the gentle, transformative power of grace, what it truly means to offer grace to ourselves and extend it to others. The word grace comes from the Latin word gratia, meaning favor or kindness. But grace is more than a word. It's a practice of choosing kindness over judgment, compassion over criticism, and understanding over perfection. Grace gives us permission to set down the heavy weight of guilt, shame, and unrealistic expectations. It's not about giving up on ourselves or excusing poor decisions. It's about softening the harshness we so often direct inward. Grace allows us to breathe, to forgive, and to grow, lighting the way for renewed strength and clarity. Offering grace is also one of the greatest acts of love we can give ourselves. Loving ourselves, even in our messiness and imperfection, is an incredible act of courage. It creates space for us to show up authentically in life with more openness, patience, and understanding for those around us. So, as we step into today's conversation and meditation later, let's reflect on how we can offer grace in our own lives, whether it's forgiving a past mistake, softening our self talk, or simply allowing ourselves to be human. Grace has the power to bring lightness and healing to our hearts. So, together, let's explore how cultivating a heart of grace can lead to deeper self love, joy, and connection. Take a deep breath in. Let's open our hearts and begin. So, Mary Jane or whoever else wants to come up and sort of share your thoughts.
Sorry about that. I was having a little bit of a coughing fit, but yeah, isn't it an amazing thing to give ourselves the grace that we afford to others? Sometimes that's um, a challenge. I mean, I can only speak from my personal experience. I'm so much more willing to accept with grace something that's happening with somebody else than I am myself. I'm getting better at, releasing that negative self-talk, but sometimes that little voice wants to creep in the most unexpected moments. But that's it's just it's a wonderful relationship, a wonderful balance we have with ourselves, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that it's so interesting when you start to practice grace and you think to yourself, okay, like maybe sometimes like not even what should I do or what would I do in this situation when you're trying to practice grace with others, you take on what they would do. We had that experience this past week, Mary Jane, when I when you weren't well, we had to cancel. And I thought to myself, well, what would Mary Jane do?
Yes.
And so we ended up postponing till you were better. Because I am tend to be very, very not offer myself in general, getting better also, a lot of leeway and a lot of gentleness. I tend to ride myself very hard and hold myself to a standard, which is, somewhat superhuman at times. But like I said, getting better and embracing that humanity and that vulnerability and authenticity. But it is a process. And each opportunity and each experience is a lesson of like whether I'm doing that and whether we can do it for ourselves, we can do it for other people.
Absolutely. Because as much as we often, not in a people-pleasing way, but as much as we don't want to disappoint other people, sometimes we become more disappointed in ourselves. And it's just finding a space where we can allow that grace for ourselves to be human. Human beings, not human doings. That's what a friend of
Yeah.
mine likes to say often. So, yes, and thank you for allowing that space because definitely I was definitely not in a space where I would have had a voice, literally, to actually carry on a workshop. So that was I even though I would have tried to push myself through that, there's a time and a place for that. And thank you for allowing me that grace, Jen.
Well, You're you're welcome. But it is interesting when you see yourself go back to that, behavior, or when you see yourself and you think to yourself, like, almost like, what am I thinking? You like, and but also not going down that path of self-judgment and that critical way, the self-talk. I've been working on this over the past week. I'm doing a program with Eric Zimmer from The One You Feed. Um, for 6 weeks. And so, practicing this whole idea of how we speak to ourselves and dialogue that goes on in our head and what it means and what it's telling us and how we kind of shift out of that. So it's been a very interesting process this week as I kind of work with this. I've recently got introduced to the app called Mind Jogger, which, if you don't know it, it's just little random reminders throughout your day that you can program as opposed to setting your phone. So mine is the first one that happens 7 times sporadically out throughout the day, which I will mention in the meditation, is you yourself, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and affection, by the Buddha.
Ooh, I love that.
So it kind of randomly pops up on my phone reminding me that, when my brain, and how often we have that self-talk, like, because I think we forget and we're not aware of it. And it's kind of like playing in the background all the time. And then all of a sudden there are moments when all of a sudden you're like, oh, like, what am I saying to myself? Because it probably gets a little louder or we just realize it. But I think it tends to run almost on autopilot of just like, this dialogue that's going on. And where is that, like, dialogue? What is it around and what does it mean? And it's just becoming aware of that. And I think that that's what that mind jogger also does. Is like, okay, that's the second mind jogger I have. Is like, okay, and what is your self-talk, or what are you saying to yourself right now? So it's a really interesting process of, grace, practicing grace for
Absolutely.
yourself. Yeah.
Jen, Rosemary was just commenting, if could you just quickly repeat that quote from Buddha?
Yes, absolutely. You yourself, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and affection. And I'm happy to put it in the chat also.
That would be great.
Does anybody want to come and join us up here? So we're not here all alone. Not, no,
Oh,
you know what I mean.
alone together?
Alone together, you know what I mean.
I'd like to comment. It's interesting. Everything that both of you are saying is what I've been dealing with for so long, but it's what I find, what I ended up doing in order to, I'm going to put in quotes, survive, is helping other people, right? Like our focus is there, we're there 100%. But when it comes to yourself, put it in a little box and it gets compartmentalized and put away in my chest, in my heart. And then when things like multiple things have been happening in the last few months, but especially now with the loss of a friend and how my brother is imminent. It's all come to a head, and it's all these boxes seem to want to come out and say, you're no good at this, and you're that, and you're this, and you're that, and how can you deal with this? And it's just everything being overwhelming. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for doing this because this is really important for me today. And learning to stop compartmentalizing. And that's what I felt I needed to do to survive, to get through a tough situation. I don't even know if I'm rambling, but anyway, I just felt I needed to say something like that.
It's beautiful, Rosemary. Thank you for sharing your vulnerability here. This is a wonderful, safe space to do that. And I think we can all be guilty of that compartmentalizing, those pieces of ourselves that maybe sometimes we're not quite ready to deal with the hurt and the emotion behind. Um, behind those things. And but just I know we hear it often, and especially in these spaces, but you are you are enough, and in fact you are more than enough. I never doubt that for a minute. And just know that you have a community surrounding you with love. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you again,
Thank,
Rosemary.
thank you. And I just wanted, oh, I had a question and it just flew out of my head. Um,
I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you.
no, 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 no. You know, like what my goal is to help others to get through different things and to find their purpose and their meaning. And then that what's that syndrome? You know, when you feel you're, what the heck are you doing? You're not, you know, you
Imposter,
don't know anything, or you don't have the means, you don't have this, you don't have that. Like, who the heck are you to try and help somebody else? That
imposter.
syndrome. Imposter, thank you. And that sometimes just it becomes so overwhelming as in years past, it's okay, that's it, I quit. I'm not going to do anymore. And I've quit. But I know this time around I can't, but sometimes it's so hard to keep going. And thank you for the community. I really
Oh, you're
appreciate it.
welcome. You're so welcome. And one thing I just wanted to say is that I think, practicing safe grace and sort of self-compassion is realizing, it's really the awareness of doing that to me, which is so important. It's like this feeling of, or this aspect of the fact that you might be compartmentalizing, but you're doing it. And it's not done unconsciously. It's done almost intentionally. Like I know that when my dad passed, I knew I had to deal with it. Like I knew I wasn't gonna, it's not like I was gonna not. But there was a point where I was like, I just like at this moment I can't. And I was very aware of it. And then one day I woke up and I said, it wasn't that long after, and I said, okay, now I'm ready. And then like the floodgates opened. But it was like I did have practical things I needed to do, and I needed to make sure my mom was okay and things like that. So I think it was this idea I had to be there for her for a moment. Well, especially because she doesn't live close to me. So while I was with her, and I thought to myself, when I get home and I'm in my own environment, then I'll, the tears could come. And I think that there was just something really profound that I was very truly aware of it. And it wasn't like I was pushing it away and I was just closing it off in a box thinking it was going to go away. And I think it was really with that awareness. So I think that you have to look at that within what you were speaking about, because sometimes we need to do that. We're just not ready at the moment, or we do have, and just realize that eventually we have to go through something. So I hope that kind of puts a little framework or love around it. Seamus?
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Thanks again for creating this space. Yeah, for me, what's coming up right now is noticing is enough. Like it's back to awareness and practicing the power of noticing without doing anything else, just noticing how you're feeling and and this is where the practice comes in, N practicing what it feels like to experience. Well, that's all I feel I can do right now. It's the first smallest possible micro step. Okay, I'm noticing, I'm acknowledging, and I don't need to do anything else right now. This is enough. And maybe just simply be still as the next step, if you can feel like there's a possible next step, just to create the space to acknowledge the power of noticing, the power of being still, the power of that moment of silence. Perhaps that's a way of opening that door to the narrative that's very self-critical. And like, as you've been sharing already, it's so easy to be kinder to other people than we are to ourselves. And I think a key part to opening that door for kindness to self is noticing as quickly as possible when we're not being kind. And that's where the power of stillness comes in from that noticing. Noticing is enough. There's relief just instantly in the very fact I'm noticing I'm not being kind. I don't need to do anything else. I'm just going to be in this moment and savor the moment of I've been successful in simply noticing before I even think about taking another step, you know. So that's kind of what's coming up right now.
I mean, I absolutely adore that, Seamus, because I think it's like, I love this, what you shared about the need not to do anything. It's really just in the noticing. You know, it's like, it's so beautiful and so true. And, I'm taking and writing that down because I just feel like, wow, that is so powerful, is the need not to fix anything or try, for example, to, we're all on this path of self-development and like evolving and not having it be a task or something you need to accomplish, or something you need to do next necessarily. Just the fact of noticing the awareness of it, which is, I think, why I like the mind jogger thing. First week, I have to confess, I found it very distracting because it has like an alarm like everything else. And I found like I would be doing something and it would pull me out. And now I just set it for more times and kind of like turn it off when I don't want to be disturbed. And when it's on, it reminds me of like, okay, what am I saying to myself? And, what's in my self-talk and where am I? And can I practice that loving compassion for myself and others? And just as a gentle nudge.
Yeah, and it goes back to the poem as well, like around there's opportunity in everything, and that I think out of that space of noticing and simply acknowledging what's going on and creating space to process, like as the poem said, like every experience is an opportunity to grow and evolve. And I think there's great power in that as well, from that space of noticing and clarity that comes out of that when you practice and build that emotional rep of notice and experience the power of, ah, there's an instant payback on this. That is a strong reinforcer of doing more of that practice, I think. And that's where it can become a game changer when you allow yourself to notice and notice more and experience what that feels like.
I mean, absolutely. And I thought, I think about it as you were talking about everyday things or just everyday moments. And to me, I think that is the link to what you shared in the fact of if you're present, because I think if you're present in what you do, you always, those opportunities come in. It's like you're engaged with other people in your environment and everything else that's happening. And so then all of a sudden, those opportunities show up as opposed to living in your head or living on remote, on autopilot where then you don't notice anything. So then how is there the opportunity at that point to be aware because you're just going, you know? So I think it's in that ability to be present and to be aware of those opportunities in every instance to practice grace.
Absolutely. And I, I wrote down so many keywords, Seamus. Thank you for thank you for that. But the one word that really stood out to me, and I noticed that Rosemary commented on it as well, is stillness. The and it's interesting because I was thinking that the context of grace, the word itself, it has that it has a simple beauty to it and the stillness. So I just like that. It's like, oh, grace in the stillness. I really love the word stillness because sometimes we're so busy in our busyness that we forget um, that it's sometimes we need to be still to actually hear what our heart is telling us. So I love that. Divine, what wisdoms do you have to share today?
Hello, my loves. Thank you so much. Let me clear my throat. Oh my goodness. I have to fully be transparent in here today. And thank you so much, Rosemary, for starting us off with that vulnerability, that transparency. And to me, that is grace. To me, that is love, right? On this beautiful love day. So I'm going to be taking my time with my share. Originally, I raised my hand. Let me just say, I think I was kind of criticizing my own self when I came in here today. Yeah, because my intention was to just to come in here today and not really speak, but to listen and to receive. I said, Divine, you're going to come in here, you're going to just listen, you're going to support your sisters, and you're just going to listen and you're going to receive. That was my intention. But maybe that was an inner critic in me, the saying, don't talk, not today. You don't need to talk. You don't need to say anything, right? Instead of flowing in whatever needs to happen. How many times have we set our intention to do something, to say something, right? We set an intention. I'm going to do this. This is going to happen, right? Even how we had to cancel something. You guys had to cancel your your workshop, and we can set intentions, but when we learn how to set intentions and also learn how to be flexible in that flow. And the reason why I raised my hand after talking about my own inner critic, right? I wasn't supposed to raise my hand today, but guess what? The spirit, the flow said, raise your hand, Divine. So I did. I listened. I listened to that soft inner voice because I was still. Everything you guys were talking about is literally everything that happened since I came in here today. And I was still, and I listened, and my intuition said, raise your hand and speak. And Rosemary touched my heart as well. So I raised my hand, and I was going to talk about awareness. And then Seamus talked about, Seamus, that's where we be on a similar wavelength. I be catching that every time we come in here in this community space together. But when you said awareness, I was like, that was the one of the things I wanted to talk about, is creating time for grace and awareness every single day, right? Setting a reminder, as Jan was talking about, right? To disrupt us. Doesn't have to be a negative thing. Everything can have a positive and negative charge. And sometimes we need that healthy disruption, that healthy distraction that says, hey, hello, so we can do that as well and set an alarm, whatever it is, especially if you're not used to being still, if you're not used to cutting off the distractions, right? Even if it's 3 minutes, 2 minutes. I remember I'm a single mom, so it was a lot that was going on with me, and I had to remove myself and put myself in the bathroom and put my headphones on and listen to some soft music just to get a couple minutes of a break time away from all of the noise. Because when the noise can be work, the noise can be loud noise, the noise can be any distraction that's not allowing the stillness, the time to just be, the awareness to kick in. Because that soft voice, which also we call it our intuition, starts to kick in. And our body also speaks louder. I've noticed that too. Like my body speaks louder. Like I may feel like a little pain or a little stiffness somewhere in my body. I'm able to notice it because I'm putting my awareness there. So I prayed for awareness. I prayed for intuition. I prayed to be connected to my body. And when I say pray, I'm really talking to every cell in energy and love that's supporting me for my highest and best good. And once I'm able to do that, the awareness starts to get stronger and it gets stronger and it gets stronger in my body, in my mind as well. And sometimes when the inner critic comes up and I'm aware of it, I say, you know, I don't react. I may laugh because I have a little bit of dark humor, right? Let's be real. We have a little bit of dark humor sometimes. I may laugh, right? Because it's just thought forms. It's just program. It's just conditioning that has been placed upon us that we had received from some type of program or other people's opinions or upbringing, whatever it may be. So we just watch it. I like to call it watch it, observe it, whatever you want to call it, right? You can laugh at it, you can alchemize it and transform it with something positive and more loving for you. I had to give myself a lot of grace right now with my health and my well being and to slow down. And the silver lining in what I'm going through with my health is like, hey, now you're going to be a turtle. You're still going to get there. You're still going to do what you got to do. You're going to take that inspired action, but you're also going to prioritize yourself, your wellness, your health, and your well being. And the more that you do that, you will call upon your family. And when I say family, I'm talking about the people that really love you and support you. I call them my soul family, and you will call upon those people. They will feel that support, right? So it's like give yourself the grace and the time to be still, to go within and connect with yourself and then but don't stay in that shell too long. Kind of like peek out a little bit like the turtle and say, hey, I'm going to call my family. I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to call my soul sister, my soul brother, whatever that may be. And I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to be real because we are not alone. And anybody is in here in this space today, if you would like to connect with me, I would love to be here and support that reciprocity and mutual benefit connection as we do here all the time, every Friday in Spirit Born Imaginings with my sisters there. So thank you so much. And I'll land the mic there.
Thank you so much, Divine. You used a few words that you really resonated with me. One is expectations, and the expectations we have about something or we place either on ourselves or others, and managing expectations, which is key, I think, to practicing grace, is like, can we manage those expectations? Can we kind of alter them depending on and get more into the flow? Because I think that often we are very lofty in our expectations. Last week, I think, we spoke about to-do lists. And if I were to look some days at my to-do list, I would sit there and say, oh my gosh, like there's no possible human way I can get this all done, And one is to laugh about it. And two is to look at it, maybe put a few less things on that to-do list. And then other things that I need to do to practice grace throughout the day. And that's giving myself a buffer around tasks so that I have this opportunity to get still or to breathe and not jam pack my schedule so that I barely have time to go to the bathroom during the day. It's like, and that's really, I remember one day waking up and thinking to myself, I determined my own schedule. Like, it was like, what am I doing? As I laughed at myself because I was like one appointment after another appointment after another appointment, and then saying, okay, giving like booking stuff out so that all of a sudden it's like, okay, you have a 20-minute, 15-minute break to take a walk in between each thing, and then practicing grace throughout and really, finding that you don't really get that much less, you don't get any less done. You actually get more done. And so yes, it's I really like, yes, the get to do list. And but I have actually taken it off. So it's now on my to-do list going after last week with Darlene. I now have a to-do list instead of a to-do list. But it is that expectation of like, and then really being able to not only get that space and those manage those expectations, but going with the flow. And I loved that you said that. I mean, for years, at some point or another, I've, gotten quiet, still, meditated, however you want to label it. And then going through a period in the fall this year where I had to get outside. I was craving the outdoors and being in fresh air and walking, and I just didn't want to sit. And years ago, I would have been in this mindset, well, that's not really meditation because I'm not sitting in a corner in my house where it's like my meditation space, and I'm not on a cushion. And therefore, that whole dialogue in my head of like, oh my gosh, I'm failing at this. And what am I doing? And, you should be more disciplined, and and the list goes on and on and on. And then all of a sudden realizing that I wasn't in that space at that time. And I was getting quiet. I would turn off my phone. It would be in nature. It would be present. And that is what I needed at that time. And then I love something that Eric Zimmer constantly share is little steps, like little step each day goes a long way, and just like little steps in the right direction. And I think that that's how we need to look at some of these things, like that stillness is little moments of stillness add up, little opportunities of practicing grace, sort of layer and build upon each other and have really profound effects.
I really love that perspective, Jan, and yeah, it's true. I mean, with just being filled with the gratitude of things around you, um, especially if you have the opportunity to be out in nature and take in all the beauty that's around. Even though we were speaking earlier about how much, at least in our neck of the woods, how much snow there is on the ground right now. But there's a beauty in that, and there's a gratitude for being able to experience the beauty of the snow as it glistens and sparkles. Especially today, it's a little bit partially sunny here, so there's a glistening on the snow. So it is quite lovely, but there is there is a gentle grace in the practice of gratitude. That's my perspective on it.
Absolutely. And I mean, and every now and then when the cold gets harsh, I sit there and I get very practical and I'm sitting there and I live in Tick Central here. I'm about an hour from Lyme, Connecticut, which is where Lyme disease comes from. So, or was originally like named. So, ticks don't like the cold, and every day that it's cold, I'm like, okay, good, less ticks. So to find little practical ways to kind of reframe something so that it is a little bit more positive when it's, 5 degrees outside and, going outside is hard, but yeah, there's always, opportunities where we can find a little, one humor, we can laugh at ourselves and we can find the benefit in everything, right? We can find something that's going to reframe it to be a little bit more positive.
Can I share one more quick thing, guys?
Oh, please.
So this is what I'm doing right now. I have a bell in my hand, and I'm sure Mary Jane and Jan know that I love my bells, right? Because the bells, they kind of like bring attention to my awareness and that higher state of consciousness to like, okay, tune in, right? It's like the bells or the angels just like are with me. And it gives me a sense of knowing that I am fully supported and loved in every moment and every cycle of my life. So I just wanted to ring a bell real quick for everybody. And thank you for allowing me to share the bells. No chimes in here, just bells today.
Um, I'm Divine. Are you ringing? Because you're on mute.
Did you guys hear the bell?
You're
Yeah.
on mute. Okay, I did.
You guys didn't, I rang the bell and then got off mute. Oh my goodness. Did anybody hear it? Okay, I'll do it again. Here we go.
Okay.
And usually when I do that, I'll take a big old deep breath because breath work also helps us be more aware and be more in the body, right? With breath work. So, yeah. All right, Jen, there's your bell.
Okay,
Ring the
thank
bell.
you. Um, I think of, you say the breath. Yeah. I mean, to me, when we use the word, or Seamus originally used the word earlier, of stillness, that's what my words are always the stillness of the breath. There's something about, in yoga, we're very into the breath and creating a breath that's audible. So what we call the ocean breath. If people don't know what that is, that's a breath that if you were to take your hand right in front of your face and right your mouth and pretend your hands is a mirror, it's this very audible breath of feeling like the breath is going to fog that mirror. So it's and then you do that breath, but you close your mouth. So you then hear it basically internally. And so there's something about that sound of basically it sounds like the ocean, like you're listening to a shell, and you have that audible sound. And you also, it's a warming breath for those of us who are in colder weather. So it tends to warm you. And then also there's this place that your mind can go. It's like a shift of like where you then concentrate on that sound, and it creates a very still place for all the, let's say, chaos or loudness that's out there in the world. So it brings you very much inside to the inner part of you. And so I think that's why I never play music in my classes, or very rarely. Maybe at the, end during meditation or something, but I'll play chimes or something. But in general, when people are practicing, it's quiet. There's stillness or silence. So, but one of the things I wanted to mention, because I think that one of the best ways, or one of the most challenging in some ways, that we can, what grace is when we ask for help. When we realize we can't do everything, we're offering such grace to ourselves to realize like we're not in that superhuman place. And in preparation for this, which I can pop the article link in the comments section, the author of this beautiful blog says, giving ourselves grace sometimes means grace is spelled help. And she quotes one of my favorite children's books, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charles Mackesy. And in it, this is a quote. It says, "What's the bravest thing you've ever said?" asked the boy. "Help," said the horse. And I think that that is sometimes one of the most challenging ways to be able to ask or to practice grace, is to ask for help.
It's true. It is often a very brave thing, because often we feel we here comes the shoulds. We should be able to do it all on our own. We should be able to do that. And when we can't, that's when the critic comes in and starts saying all of those things. But that's by giving ourselves the grace, saying, "Hey, I need my community. I can't always do this alone. I need my supports around me." Um, there's a grace in that vulnerability, I feel.
Yeah,
If I could just
Mary
add
Jane,
to that.
I just wanted to say, go ahead. I'll wait.
Go ahead, Rosemary, and then Devon.
Sorry, Divine. Um, I came to a realization with this help. I think over the decades, I've had to be strong for everybody. And now for me to ask for help, the vulnerability, oh my God, how can you ask for help? You're not good. You need to be strong for everybody. But I realize I have to be strong for me too. And that's the hard part, being strong for me. Also, just, but talking about the breath. And this is what I do for other people, and I didn't do it for me. I buy these little acrylic diamonds at the dollar store, and I pass them out to people and say, when you're having a sad day, a down day, a dark day, look for the sparkle in your day, and I give them the little sparkle. I didn't do that for me, and that's a realization I've come to. I had to do my more sparkle for me too. Thank you.
Sure. Rosemary, and I love that idea of a sparkle, but I also think it's so interesting, right? How much we do this for other people a lot of the time, and we'll even share it with other people and give other people suggestions, and then we forget to take our own advice. And all of a sudden, we realize one day it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like, why am I not doing this? I tell people to do this all the time. And it's like we forget. And that's why I love the beauty of these conversations, because I think they're great reminders of things that we already know and things we might all already practice at times. But I think that when we're going through challenging times, it's almost like we have such tunnel vision in regard to what we're going through that it's very hard for us to see beyond the blinders. And that's why, like, conversations in communities to remind us of these things, not in a berating way, obviously, and not so we'll become self-critical and have that voice go off in our head was like, oh my gosh, what a dunce, I didn't think of this myself. But just as a gentle nudge or a reminder of like, oh my gosh, I should be practicing this. I should be breathing. I should take a moment of stillness or a moment outside. And sometimes that changes depending on the scenario that you're in. That might be what Divine shared of going into the restroom for 5 minutes with headphones on because you need a moment of peace. Or it could be, when you're at the bedside of someone who's not well, who's ill, and then just stepping outside into the sun or into the outside air and just saying, I just need one moment to myself, just to take a breath. And maybe it's that. And I think that, we have to grab those moments, but I think we also have to leave that idea of, when I think of this myself sometimes. And yes, asking for help can be so challenging. And I've been there also. I mentioned, I think a few times, I was in a car accident probably about 15 years ago. And I remember I wasn't hospitalized, but I could do very little on my own. And I couldn't drive, so I had to ask everybody for a ride everywhere. And, when you're used to being very independent, that's very challenging. And I remember sitting there, and my friend, who's a close friend of mine, my friend Lillian, turned to me and said, if it was reversed and it was like a friend of yours or somebody in your family who was going through this, wouldn't you want to help them? And then all of a sudden it shifted. It was like, oh, I guess so. Yeah, I would want to offer help. So I think that sometimes, it is a very, very challenging thing. All our ideas and all that self-talk about what it means to ask for help can be really, we have to work through and just talk to people about.
Divine, did you still have something to add?
Thank you, my love. Just really quick, I think I was just going to add about the community thing, but also I wanted to tell Rosemary, I appreciate her apologizing, and I wanted to allow her to speak and to, go before me. But sometimes we don't need to apologize for using our voice or speaking up, and just know that you are fully loved and supported, even though you may not know me personally, but it's okay, right? We're all here, and this is a safe space for all of us to speak and, patience and take our turn. And I think patience is also a part of grace, now that just came to me as well. But I wanted to say that I'm going to take accountability today, and I want Jan and Mary Jane to, to really, help me be accountable too sometimes, right? Because sometimes we need that accountability partner, not somebody who's going to do it in a mean or authoritative way, but somebody who just says, hey, keep your word and stay on top of it. And I'm going to take accountability today, and I'm going to start reacting more, or not reacting. What is the word? I'm going to be in spirit born imaginings more. So if you guys haven't known that, I found Jan and Mary Jane on LinkedIn, but also I'm also part of the community on Facebook as well. So, interacting in that community, even with the heart or little emoji saying hello, so we know that we are there and we're holding space there. and, we can be more active there in that community. So I'm going to take accountability and do that, even if it's just an emoji or a hello, because right now I have carpal tunnel and I'm not really doing too much typing. I try not to, especially the times where, it's hurting the most. But I'm going to take accountability and do that and be in the spaces that I know that are supporting, because we have to do that. Like, yeah, I'm saying it. We have to do that. We have to be accountable for that, right? We have to grow the community. We can't. Nothing cannot grow if we don't flourish it, if we don't pour into it. So I want to help grow and flourish the community when I am able, when I can, when I see it come across my feed. Boom, let's do it, right? So I wanted to share that. And one more thing about something else I wanted to share too, but I think I lost it. But I think it was so important to share at the same time. I don't want to take up too much space because I know how you guys like to keep this room to an hour. But I just wanted to say that, oh, okay, here it comes real quick. When we don't do things for ourselves, like we do things for other people, I feel like that I got curious with that and I asked why. Why am I not embodying kindness? Why am I not embodying grace for myself? And when I started asking why and got curious, that little voice, that intuition spoke to me. You could call it God, you can call it intuition, whatever you want to call it, it's going to speak to you. And it said, because we need you to be humble. We need you to open up your heart and we need you to be vulnerable. That's a part of being human. So if we don't have those opposites of how we only pour into others and then we don't pour into ourselves, and then one day we get the moments of, hey, wait, aha, oh, now I need to embody this. Now I need to pour into me because I have to balance out the scales, is what I like to call it. There has to be harmony in giving and receiving, in doing and being. So yeah, I just wanted to add that and say it's all the way it's supposed to be, but we just have to harmonize the scales within ourselves as well. I landed there. Thank you, loves.
Oh, thank you, Divine. And one of the things that, that's the treasure of these conversations is they kind of, you know, all of a sudden a thought comes in. And one of the things you said, and that was supportive communities and supportive people, which I obviously think is key. And then also, I think sometimes grace is boundaries, is, is boundaries and setting boundaries around yourself that are safe boundaries and just kind of not in a negative way or cruel way, but when people are not supportive, either if you feel the need to say something, you say something gently. And if you're not, maybe you at points just, whatever you need to do just to keep yourself safe at certain times, which may be vulnerable times. And where, if you're feeling a little bit more, I want to use the word fragile, not in a bad way, but if you're feeling a little bit emotionally vulnerable or in a space of where you need a little bit of extra support, and then just kind of surrounding yourself with the right people. So I think that is truly, truly important. You need to have your cheering squad at points.
You definitely do. And I love um being that in that frame with Jan, because there's been times where I've been feeling really rough about things, and I think vice versa. And we know that we are a safe space um, to share that vulnerability, and we give each other grace to feel what we need to feel and move through that. But at least know that there's somebody there listening, holding our hand, even if it's virtually and from far away.
Absolutely. Mary Jane, even holding your hand, even if it's from, across the thousands of miles, at points we all need that.
Absolutely. It's what a wonderful conversation today, and I know you have a beautiful meditation planned for us, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, any last comments anybody wants to make? Any last insights or jewels? If not, we'll move into the meditation. Okay. So we'll start with the quote I said earlier: you yourself, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and affection. So today we will practice a loving kindness meditation, a practice rooted in compassion and the wish for well-being, both for ourselves and others. And in this meditation, we invite you to open your hearts, cultivate kindness towards yourself and the world around you. So let's settle in and begin. Find a comfortable position. Feel free to sit, lie down if that feels right. Allow your eyes to close gently or soften your gaze if that's more comfortable. Bring your attention to your breath. Take a slow, deep breath in, filling your lungs. Hold it for a moment. And then exhale slowly and fully. Repeat this a few more times, feeling the breath's natural rhythm as it flows in and out. If it helps to place a hand somewhere to feel that breath, feel free to do so. Feel your body supported by the surface beneath you. Relax your shoulders, soften your jaw. Maybe release any tension in your forehead or face. And simply rest in this moment, just be. Begin by offering kindness to yourself. You may silently repeat the following phrases or adapt them as you feel. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be happy. May I be at peace. Offer these words with intention, as if you are offering a deep, heartfelt wish to yourself. If difficult emotions arise, simply notice them. You don't have to push them away. Just hold yourself gently in this moment as you would a dear friend. Now bring to mind someone you love, someone who brings you warmth and joy. Visualize them standing right before you, bathed in a soft, radiant light of your words, and wish them, may you be safe, may you be healthy, may you be happy, may you be at peace. Feel the connection between your heart and theirs. Let this connection be filled with compassion and love. And picture someone neutral, perhaps an acquaintance or someone you don't know very well. See them standing before you. Offer them some loving kindness. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you be at peace. If you feel any resistance, just simply notice it without judgment. And do your best to allow yourself to remain in this practice. Now bring to mind someone with whom you may have a difficult relationship. This may be a challenge, so be gentle with yourself. But if it feels right, extend to them. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you be at peace. And finally, let your heart open up even wider and envision all beings, every person, animal, and living thing on this earth, and the earth itself. And silently offer the following wishes. May all beings be safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. Take a moment to rest in this expansive, loving awareness. Feel the warmth and compassion that you have cultivated. When you're ready, gently bring your attention back to your breath. If you have your hand resting on that area, just feel it move. Feeling the rise and fall of your body. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, feel free to open your eyes. So thank you all so much for joining us this morning or today, wherever time of day you are. Please take a moment to connect with both Mary Jane and I. We would love to connect with you for a one-on-one or just to maintain those really strong and vibrant and valuable connections. If anybody is around tomorrow, Mary Jane and I are doing an online workshop called All You Need Is Love. That is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're available and you want to join us, feel free. We can pop the registration link in the comment section. If not, we can't wait to see you next Friday. And have a great day and a great weekend and a happy Valentine's Day. And I think it's a holiday weekend in Canada and a holiday weekend in the US. So just enjoy.
Yes, thank you everyone for being here. And definitely, if you aren't connected with us yet, we do have our groups, as Divine was graciously mentioning, on both LinkedIn and Facebook for Spirit Born Imaginings. And we'd love to see you there for inspiration and information, as I like to call it. So we would love to see you there if it feels right for you. So thank you all for being here today. Much love to you all.
Yes, have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and lots of love. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody.